call this meeting to order. Before we get started, let's introduce everyone on this meeting. I'm Jonathan Nickerson. When I call your name, please confirm you can hear me by verifying that you're present. It's been a long day. That you're present. Starting with the commissioners, Travis Mast.
Present.
Patrick.
Present.
Emily. You're muted if you're speaking.
She did say she was gonna be audio only for like 20 minutes, so I don't know if she's sitting right there at the moment.
Okay. I can always cycle back to her. Our staff, Leah,
I'm here.
and our and Jen.
Here.
And then I'm looking for an acknowledgement of the speakers for 23 Cortland Way, Andrew Chalupka.
Yes, I'm his father. Andrew is a doctor and he was unable to get out early enough to make the meeting tonight. So he asked me to fill in for him, which is fine because I'm the person who's done all of the legwork up to this point, meeting with Jan and Leah.
Okay. Did I pronounce your last name correctly? Is that at
You
all
did.
close?
Yes, you did.
Wow.
Thank you.
I'm glad I got that one right.
So, and by the way, you can refer to me as Chuck rather than Andrew since he's not here.
Okay, Chuck.
Thank you.
The speaker for 111 or the speakers for 111 Miriam Road, Scott Jordan. Can you hear me? And are you here? If you're speaking, you're muted. And Carl Bilgreen.
Been on until 7:30, so
Hi.
maybe they're.
Yeah, no, our note said 7:15 and 7:30, so Scott Jordan is supposed to be speaking for us and my husband is supposed to be on, so I'm supposed to just be observing. So I'm gonna go,
We know you
So-
can hear us.
yeah, I can hear you fine. And hopefully
Okay.
Scott will jump in because he's gonna speak for us.
Okay.
Thank-
He's got a little bit of time. We just like to make sure that people can hear us before the actual hearings. So
Okay, thank you.
58 Follette Street, Jessica Barty.
Good evening. I can hear you. Thank you. And I'm flying solo tonight. It's just going to be me for the applicant.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. So this open meeting of the Conservation Commission is being conducted remotely via Zoom pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order, as most recently extended on March 29, 2023. Access information for the public has been provided on the town's website. This meeting is being recorded. Please remember to mute your phone or computer when you're not speaking. If you're using a dial-in by telephone feature, you can mute yourself by pressing *6. As temporary chair until Sandy gets here, I will introduce each speaker on the agenda. Please note that you will not have screen sharing privileges, but staff can display any visuals per your cue. After speakers conclude their remarks, I will invite each commissioner to provide any comments, questions, or motions. After the commissioners have spoken, I will allow public comments to be spoken by the participants. Participants must use the raise hand feature by clicking the hand icon at the bottom right of the Zoom menu bar to indicate they would like to speak. If you're using a dial-in by telephone feature, please press *9 to raise your hand and *6 to unmute when you are called upon. Participants who raise their hand will be recognized one at a time and promoted to speak. Public comments will be followed by commission and applicant responses. Finally, each vote taken will be conducted by roll call vote. As a reminder, the commission is concerned with state and town wetlands and stormwater regulations. Concerns outside of this purview need to be addressed with the appropriate boards. For example, road conditions must be addressed with the select board and traffic conditions must be addressed with the planning board. So, seeing that Sandy's still not on, and it's 7:11, is there anything that we can tackle prior to the 7:15?
Sure. You want to do the meeting minutes first?
Sure. So did everyone have a chance to take a look at the May 16, 2023 meeting minutes? Any comments on that from the commissioners?
Nope. No comments.
Okay. And Emily, I don't know if you can hear me or if you're available only via audio. Do you have any comments on the meeting minutes? So hearing no comments, do we have a motion on the meeting minutes?
Move to approve the meeting minutes for 5/16.
Second,
All right, I've got a motion and a second. I'll do a roll call vote. Patrick,
Yes.
Travis,
yes.
I'm also a yes. The motion, I'm assuming passes, Leah, unless we need to get Emily. or
You have
do we-
enough to do it. I think you're fine.
Okay. All right, in 3 minutes, can we tackle any other ones?
We have a couple extension requests, starting with the Ridings subdivision, so that's at the bottom of the first page of my report. They're seeking their first 3-year extension. That's the subdivision that is in both Grafton and Westboro. So they just said that they're midstream through development of the subdivision and they're asking for another 3 years.
Okay, so do I have to read that one in, or is it just open for conversation right now?
It's just an action item.
Okay. So I don't see any issues with this. Travis, any comments or concerns?
Did they have any commitments or conditions that were time sensitive, like
I mean, they
wetland
had all
restoration
their,
or monitoring or anything?
they had all their pre-construction stuff that was taken care of, so they were given the go-ahead to start. They do have a wetland scientist that sends reports to us pretty often. They had a
Okay.
couple issues that along the way with that, but they have since all been rectified.
Okay. No
I
other
believe-
questions then?
Oh, sorry, I believe they started on the Westboro side, so I think from our side, I don't think you can see any houses yet. The last time I was out there, you couldn't.
Okay. Nothing else for me, Patrick.
Yeah, Patrick, any comments?
Nope. No comments.
Okay, so having heard no concerns or comments, do I have a motion about issuing a 3-year extension for 88 Adams Road?
Yeah, I'll move to make a 3-year extension for 88 Adams Road.
Second.
Okay, I've got a motion and a second. Patrick,
Yes.
Travis,
Yes.
I'm also a yes, the motion passes. It's now 7:15. Leah, you might have to help me in terms of, what do I have to read again? The whole thing
So,
that I read?
no, if you open up, the
It's in the
title
lead
of,
sheet.
yeah, the lead sheet.
it.
Underneath the subheading for 715 is the legal ad language that is the same language that goes in the newspaper. That's what you're gonna read.
Got it. So seeing that it's 7:15, pursuant to the Massachusetts Wetlands I can't talk tonight, Protection Act, and the Grafton Wetlands Protection Bylaw, the Grafton Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, June 6th at 7:15 PM via Zoom to act upon a request for determination of applicability for the construction of a fence at 23 Cortlandt Way, Grafton, Mass. The application materials, meeting link, and access information will be posted on the town website. For more information, call the town. I guess I don't have to read that in the future. All right, so Chuck, you're here
Yes.
to speak to this one?
I am. So on March 31st, I went to the office and spoke with Jan and Leah about what my son and his wife wanted to do. They purchased the house in February, and the backyard is rather small. And so there were 2 questions that I posed. One was about cutting down some of the invasive vines that were coming up close to the backyard. And the second was about extending the, there we go, extending the backyard by about 10 feet by adding in some fill, topping it with loam and seeding it. There's a fence there now, and of course, the fence would come down, and then another fence would be put in its place when the filling in is completed. So when I spoke with Jan and Leah at that time, I believe it was Leah that looked in the file and noted that the agent at the time, back in, I think it was 2005, but I'm not sure exactly, said that the map for this area was wrong and that the wetlands were not as close as were indicated. I don't know if anybody has seen that note, but the request is to extend, as I wrote in the RDA, extend the usable backyard by filling in an additional 10 feet and then replacing the fence.
Okay. All right. So Leah, any notes before we start talking amongst ourselves here?
Yeah, so in 2011 is when they went for a certificate of compliance for the filing for the construction of the house. That was around when that note was made that it seemed like the delineation was done very conservatively. And the agent at the time has a note, I think it was in the meeting minutes at the time, that there was no evidence of the wetland actually being right at the bottom of the slope. So it's mostly flat where this lawn is, and then it drops off in the back where he's talking about filling. So she had no evidence that the wetlands were right at the bottom there, as indicated on the other plan Jan had up a minute ago. They were required to observe a 20-foot no disturb. This was back a ways before we had 25. We used to have a 20-foot no disturb. So that is an ongoing condition, and those signs are out there following that fence line and basically the drop off of the backyard. So this one's not as straightforward as usual. I kind of feel like we need to have a wetland scientist give their take on where is the line, just to ensure that we're not giving permission to fill a resource area, because I do have that observation from the agent, but I don't have anything numeric, like it's actually 20 feet off the bottom of the slope or anything like that. I don't know. So, and aside from where is the line of the resource areas, where does that then make the line for the 20-foot no disturb fall as well?
All right, so I'll go around the group and look for some comments or feedback. Patrick, any comments on this one?
I guess my only comment would be kind of in agreement with what Leah was just saying, having a third party wetlands scientist or someone be able to tell us what the wetland is looking at like right now. Otherwise, without that, it feels like an arbitrary decision on our part. That's the only comment I have.
Okay, Travis, any comments or questions?
I agree with Patrick. I do have a question though. How much elevation drop is there in the 10 feet, or do you know how many yards of fill you're going to need approximately?
I don't know exactly how many. It's gonna be several hundred, I would say.
I did
Okay,
a-
so
I did a
Go
rough
ahead, Julia.
calculation earlier on GIS. I think it drops about 5 or 6 feet. And it wasn't enough to like trigger our stormwater bylaw, if that's what you're getting at.
okay, yeah,
It was under 1,000.
and it
That's,
would. Okay, and it will or won't need a retaining wall.
I was told
Do
by
you
a
know that?
contractor that wouldn't need a retaining wall.
Okay,
so
You would
th-
slope it off towards the wetland at a pitch, and you said you'd seed it, or?
Yeah, it'll be seeded. We want to have, it level with, or at the same level as the backyard. So I mean, some large rocks will probably be strategically placed and then fill added and compacted in and then loom and seed on the top.
okay, so I
know-
guess I'm wondering if the 10 feet would be enough then to make that work, or would it extend 10 feet? So the yard's gonna be 10 feet wider, right? Did I read
Right.
that right? And I guess, does that 10 feet include the tapering off?
It would probably go a few feet beyond that, beyond 10.
Okay,
We want to increase the usable area of the backyard by 10 feet.
then we
Okay.
would want to know where the actual resources is, right? So that we can, and then look and see where's the fill going to stop, and then base the determination on that. And I think that's what Patrick was getting at too.
Leah, if they were to consult, or is it us consulting with the wetland scientist, or is it having the applicant?
So at this point, it would probably just be easiest, for us to do it how we do peer review, any other time, which is ask Ecotech how much it would cost and then ask the applicant for the funds, and we're like the go-between. And I don't think we need a full delineation here. I think we just need a rough idea of, the line could be like 100 feet away and then we know we're good. I don't think it has to be anything overdone.
Well,
So
one
it
of the
doesn't need to be
maps that-
surveyed. It doesn't need any
One of the-
surveying or anything like, so what I'm getting at is, we know, okay, here's the property, here's the condition, here's the change. But if we identify that the wetland is here or there, is that consultant gonna actually say, okay, here's some surveying information? I don't know if they're gonna provide that as part of the peer review, if you will, or are they gonna
I mean,
just
that would,
tell us?
if they would only give something like on a plan if we're asking for them to delineate it essentially. Otherwise, it would probably be the form of like a memo or an email. Just, that they walked the site and they found wetland vegetation roughly however many feet away from the bottom of that slope.
Okay, so they would use a reference like that and just approximate, or use a rough approximation. Okay. I'm
Yeah.
just wondering if you could get other folks involved, or the applicant, but I'm sorry, Chuck, you were trying to say something.
Yeah, one of the maps that I printed off at Jan's request shows the wetlands, which are mainly on a lot adjacent to 23 Cortlandt Way, which is not developed. There's a culvert that runs under the road, and my estimation is that the area that we would be, and based on this map, which is something I got from Map Geo, I believe. Anyway, it's hundreds of feet from the area that we would be working in.
Okay, so,
Is that include? Yeah, okay, this is it. Yeah, so, yeah, you can see the green wetlands area at what would be 25 Portland Way if they have a number for that. And it looks to me, based on the lot lines and the dimensions that are provided, that the wetland area is very far away from the work area that we have requested be reviewed.
So what does show wetlands in that area? It was the original site plan from 2011?
So we have, what we're looking at now is close to what's on GIS, but that's just an estimate. The last like official plan we have on this site is from when they built the house, which is this one right here. So two very different layouts of wetlands.
Hmm.
I suspect it's more toward what GIS is saying. But, you know, in order to make an official decision and not be encroaching on anything that we're supposed to protect, it would be my recommendation to get a little bit more of an official handle on it.
so in order for that to happen, Leah, I need to open it up to the public for comment. Is that
Yep.
I do this like 3 times a year, so I don't want to step out of line. So please guide me.
Okay, you're doing good.
Perfect. That's what I needed. All right. So, Jan, do you see anyone that has their hand raised, or anyone that's looking to be promoted to speak? Or is there anybody on the call that wants to speak, or from the public that wants to speak in this?
There's no hands currently raised.
Okay. Well, I'll give it a second, as Sandy typically does, to see if anybody perks up. But the next step for this one potentially could be requesting a continuance in order to provide this information, Leah, or do we have to give some type of something this evening?
You're correct. If the applicant has to request a continuance, we can't require it, but
Correct.
if you guys are in agreement that this is a piece of information we need, then I don't think would be comfortable closing it.
Okay. So based on what Patrick and Travis said, it sounds like they're both looking for that information, correct?
Yeah, if the
Correct.
applicant is amenable to pursuing that, I think personally, I can't see us, or at least I can't see, voting to approve it at this stage without a little bit more information. So that's where I would be at.
Okay. I'm in the same spot as both of you. So, I don't think we could proceed forward without that information to properly make sure we're enough away from the wetlands based on the conflicting information that we have. So, with that being said, I don't see any hands raised. I don't see anybody looking to speak on it. But Chuck, are you interested in, I don't know how you phrase that, Leah. Do you want to, we're not telling you to do or not do anything. We can vote on it if you'd like to vote for us to vote on it tonight, but would you like to continue this to our next meeting to allow for a wetland scientist to come in and, provide some input on the delineation there?
Well, I believe I'm astute enough to read the room, so to speak, and I'll therefore be asking for a continuance to get the conservation wetland scientist to take a look and determine exactly where the wetlands are, since there seems to be a discrepancy, and I've been out there hundreds of times and I haven't seen any, but I'm sure if I went far enough back into the woods, I might find some skunk cabbage growing somewhere. So yes, I would request a continuance to get somebody out there to verify exactly where the wetlands are in advance of a vote.
So we need to vote on the continuance, correct, Leah?
Yep, and the date, if you would like to go to the next meeting, is July 11.
Yeah, I'd like to do it as soon as possible.
Okay. So do I have a motion to, so the applicant has has requested a continuance to the next meeting. Do I have a motion to continue this public hearing to the next meeting?
I'll move to continue this to the 23 Cortland Way to the next hearing on July 11th, 2023.
Second.
I've got a motion and a second. Sorry, Travis, I'll switch orders. Travis?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
And Emily, I saw you for a minute. I don't know if she can vote or Leah.
I would say Emily should hold off on votes till she's able to be present on video, because the guidance is that commissioners should be present on video.
My phone crashed earlier and now my internet isn't stable.
So now that she's on video, would you like her to vote, or should she abstain?
I would wait on this one.
I abstain.
Okay, so everybody, the motion passes. I'm a yes, the motion passes with Patrick, Travis, and myself voting. So the hearing is continued to our next meeting.
Just a question, will someone be in touch with me, either Jan or Leah, to
Yep.
inform me of the next step?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Okay, thank you, Chuck.
very good, thank you.
All right, considering how I'm on a really smooth roll, let's maybe go to 7:30. Does that sound like a reasonable request? I love
Sure.
when Sandy tells everyone she's coming and then she's probably stuck in traffic or something, who knows?
Huh.
Let me get the other sheet up here. So seeing that it's after 7:30, we'll open the hearing for 111 Miriam Road. Pursuant to the Grafton Wetlands Protection Bylaw, the Grafton Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, June 6th at 7:30 PM via Zoom, to act upon a request for determination of applicability for the construction of an in-ground pool and patio at 111 Miriam Road, Grafton, Mass. All right, and Scott, you're here to speak to that?
Yes, Scott Jordan from Ecotech. Good evening. I'm representing Carl Bilgren. I'm not sure if he's a panelist. I'm certain he's listening in though.
I'm on, yeah.
Oh, great.
He is.
Good evening, Carl. So yeah, folks, this is an RDA for a backyard pool and patio project at an existing house. The work is greater than 50 feet from the wetland. So it's actually exempt under the act as an exempt minor project. It's in the outer buffer zone. Leah and I spoke, and I think we both agreed that the appropriate filing would be an RDA under the bylaw only for the project. It's with an existing lawn, providing an erosion control barrier shown by the dash thick line. So again, therefore it's exempt, minor exempt project under 310-1002. It's just a proposed paver patio and in-ground pool and a little slab for a hot tub. Again, all work outside the 50 outer buffer zone. Minor comments we had received from the office were to show the potential stockpile area outside the buffer zone with an erosion control barrier, which we have done on this revised plan. Thank you, Jan. And I would happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Okay. I can go to the commissioners for actually, Leah, do you, I'll go to the commissioners first. Travis, do you have any questions or comments on this one?
Not right now, no.
Okay. Emily, any questions or comments on this hearing?
No questions, thank you.
Okay, and Patrick, any questions, comments?
No, nothing.
Leah, any specifics that you want to put out there?
They just have an existing order and bylaw permit for the construction of the house that needs to be cleaned up. I know that Jan had sent that your way to Scott. I don't know if you were making any progress on that.
Yes, we are actually. We wanted to discuss that with you folks. Yeah, once you made us aware of that, we started doing some research, started working on that. We found out that the order was never recorded. So by the builder, the Bilgrins bought this house a couple of years ago. They had no idea that there was an order of conditions out there. So I'm working with them on meeting all the conditions, and we will be rifling off a request for certificate of compliance within the next few days. I'm hoping. Mr. Bilgren is actually meeting all the requirements out of his own pocket. He's purchased the signage, expects that to be ready any day now. And the other requirement, some commissioners may recall, there was a mitigation area behind the fence, sort of the back right corner, where 15 saplings were to be planted in exchange for allowing some lawn area within the 25-foot. Those, I've taken a look out back, those saplings were planted. However, they are not alive. So that is a requirement we have to meet to get the certificate. And Mr. Bilgren is been researching, trying to find some saplings to replace those. Having a little bit of a hard time finding some suitable specimens to put in there. I'm sure some of you folks are familiar with New England Wetland Plants. That's a preferred supplier for actual native plants, and not cultivars, which you're going to get at most nurseries, and they're going to be very expensive at the nursery. So what was proposed back there was 5 red oaks, 5 red maples, 5 white pines in the 3+ foot area. And Carl, feel free to jump in here momentarily. You can speak to your research. We're finding some other native species that we can substitute, which I'm fine with. Some I don't recommend due to the full sun conditions in the back, etc. But I plan to work with Carl, and we will get some suitable plantings in there ASAP, and submit that request for certificate of compliance. One possibility we wanted to bounce off the commission was, again, it was 15 saplings proposed. The area is it's renaturalizing, it's unmowed. But if we cannot find enough decent size, I mean, I don't want to put 18-inch trees back there unless you're okay with it. We can do that. We could certainly go with a few less trees and put some native shrubs in. If we're just looking for some flexibility, and then if you trust me to pick the suitable native plants, we'll make sure that we get the area looking decent. But again, we're having a hard time finding 5 red oaks, 3+ feet tall, 5 red maples, and 5 white pines. So Carl, I think that New England Wetland Plants you had mentioned had choke cherry available, which I'm fine with. The conditions back there are fine for that. And they had paper birch, yellow birch, which I think woodwork along the right side, page right mitigation area. It's a little shadier, the soil's a little richer there. So again, I think we can come up with the plantings. We have the signs ordered, due in any day. And we actually have the letter from the engineer, from Jay Finley, saying that the project was built in substantial compliance. So we're just about all set. We just got to pop in some plants.
Yeah, so if I can add to that, Scott, I'll correct. We actually had the signs made according to the graphic provided by the Conservation Committee. And they're done. We're going to pick them up tomorrow. The plan is to space them every 20 foot as requested along the fence line to the right. And then in the front where there is no fence, the fence only goes to the it goes into the back of the house. The front yard's unfenced. Put 4-foot posts every 20 feet along that property line as well. And then I talked with Jan on behalf of Leah a couple days ago, and that's what they directed us to do. So, well, those will be up this weekend. And then, yeah, as Scott said, New England wetlands, substantially cheaper trees. They're in like the $15 range, whereas the cultivars are ranging up to about $200 to $300 for those. They do not have the ones that were originally requested, or I guess maybe suggested to be planted there, but they do have the other species that Scott recommended. So we would like to make do with those, or we can modify that as you see fit.
Okay, so thank you for all that information. So because this is a hearing for, I know that they're intrinsically linked because we need to, Leah, do we have to close out the other one before we can do anything on this one, or can this one move potentially forward?
So it's technically it's not a have to, it's just been the commission's practice to have one filing open at a time on a property.
Okay.
We could maybe do some kind of like contingent vote that will issue this paperwork pending receipt of the COC request paperwork, something like that. What was the other thing I was gonna say? Oh, do you guys need a new original order then to be able to record that?
No, we recorded the order today, Leah.
Okay,
I can forward that email to you
okay, great.
as soon as I get off. So Ecotech recorded it for them. We need that recording information for the request for certificate, as you know. So yeah, we're we're just about there. As soon as we get some plants in the ground, I will file the paperwork.
Leah, I guess my last question on the existing order is, if they're going to change that based on cost, based on availability of plants, do they have to come back to us, or how does that work?
I mean, I think species of plants in that area is a small enough change that is just something that can be reflected in the COC request paperwork.
Okay.
If we get like a new chart of what species went out there versus what was originally approved. As long as you guys, if you want to give Scott some feedback about if you think he's headed in an okay direction with that, I have no problem with it, but I defer to you guys.
Yeah, if I can jump in real quick. Thanks, Leah. I agree. Substitutions are actually fairly common in replication, restoration, mitigation type work. We spec 4-foot trees and they tell us they only have 2-foot trees, or and it's generally accepted that the commissions just trust the wetland scientists to find a suitable replacement without, amendments, et cetera. But I understand the question. But yeah, and getting back to Leah's last point, so it was 15 trees proposed at 18-foot spacing. If we fall a little short on the trees, We can do 2 shrubs for the remaining trees that we cannot find. Maybe that's a suitable, acceptable proposal. So if we ended up with 10 saplings, let's say, we were 5 short, we could throw in 10 shrubs.
Can I ask some questions about that?
Certainly.
What's there now?
It's just kind of shrubby.
Do you know the
herb-
species composition?
herbaceous. Was back there a few weeks ago. Mostly herbaceous stuff coming up. It's kind of a dry, full sun area. The soil isn't super rich back there, so I can't just throw anything back there.
Yeah, is yellow birch, is that facultative or fac up
That's
in New
facultative. I
England?
think the yellow birch would work. So,
If you're saying Allegheniensis, I think that's what I've learned.
That's
Yellow
correct.
birch as, okay.
yeah, so along the approved plan, original approved plan, the mitigation area basically follows that fence line. So the
Okay.
right side of the page, the easterly side, there's a narrow mitigation planting area. And that gets less sun. The soils are richer there because this was an old farm and they had stockpiled logs there. It was quite a scene. So the soil's richer there, it gets a little less sun. I think we can make the birches work in there. But the back northern portion, I don't think that they would work back there. It's too warm. Soil isn't quite as rich. But I will be very considerate upon what I spec and where it's going.
Okay, and then the no disturb signs that are gonna be placed, are those going on the existing chain link fence?
Yes,
Okay. So that's the original 25-foot no disturb buffer?
It's the original approved limit of work. We did a little bit of lawn within the 25-foot. So we had to do the mitigation plantings.
Okay,
So the fence isn't necessarily the limit of the 25-foot. So this, just so you know, this was a 25-foot no touch from the floodplain boundary. So it
okay,
starts
that's
creeping
why
way
I'm
up the slope.
confused.
The way that your bylaw is worded, all above resource areas get a 25-foot no touch. And it includes boarding land subject to flooding. So it kicked us way out into
Okay.
the proposed lawn. So the commission was, they were like, yeah, that's, we get it. It's not really the intent. So we'll work with you. You do some mitigation plantings. We'll let you do some lawn in the 25-foot to the imaginary floodplain boundary. Because you can see the page right, the wetland boundary is quite a distance away.
Okay,
25
helpful.
foot from there wouldn't even probably even been onto the lot.
so more upland plants would make more sense. And then one last question on the patio, is there gonna be a retaining wall for that?
It's a 1 to 2 foot retaining wall. Minimal grading there, but we want to do the wall to keep out of the 50. So if you follow the grades, it's ranges from 1 to 2 feet high max.
Mhm.
Okay. I'm done now, Jonathan.
Okay. Patrick, any additional questions?
Nope, no questions. Seems reasonable, and I think that issuing it pending the receipt of the other certificate seems reasonable.
Okay. Emily, any questions, any concerns?
No questions for me. Thank you.
Okay. And then I need to go and ask the public if they have any questions and concerns or comments. So I don't see anybody with their hand raised. I do see a few folks on, but actually I see saw a hand raised and then disappeared. Do you
That
see
was me.
anything,
I
Jake?
clicked the wrong button.
Oh, okay. You're welcome to speak if you'd like.
I was trying to see the participant list and technology is not my friend tonight.
All right, so I don't see any comments or questions coming from the public currently and no one on the call, so hearing anything else, Leah, any additional comments or questions or nothing? Okay, so do I have a motion to close this hearing and issue a negative determination pending the receipt of the other COC for the house construction?
Quick question. No, I guess not. No, I guess I don't have a question. But
Okay, so
I,
do I hear an order, or do you want to reread my order in a different manner? So,
I'll move to close the hearing and issue a negative determination, pending the receipt of the request for certificate of compliance for the outstanding existing permits.
Second,
got a motion and a second. Go around the room here. Emily,
Approve.
Patrick,
Yes.
Travis.
yes.
I'm also a yes, the motion passes.
Thank you very much. Did I hear right that your next hearing is July 11th?
Yes.
Okay, I fully expect us to have that request in order to be in for that hearing. So we will be in touch.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. All right, so that does it for the hearings.
We have one continued hearing. 58 Follett.
Are we not able to do that without Sandy?
Oh, boy.
Hi.
That's, yeah.
Good
Hi,
evening.
Jessica.
Yeah, I think I would ask for a continuance given the chair's absence here.
I forgot about that. You're right.
Okay, so, but I have to read it in then, and then we continue it from there.
Yeah.
All right, so pursuant to the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, Grafton Stormwater Management Bylaw, and the Grafton Wetlands Protection Bylaw, the Grafton Conservation Commission will reopen a public hearing on Tuesday.
July
on-
11th.
Nope.
Oh.
We'll reopen a public hearing on Tuesday, June 6th at this is the one for Selco, Leah, and it's
Yeah, you
Uh,
don't, there is no time on a continuance. It's just the date.
got it. Okay, so, but I'm not reopening it on that date. It's already been open. So do I read it verbatim?
Yes.
Pursuant to the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, Grafton Stormwater Management Bylaw, and the Grafton Wetlands Protection Bylaw, the Grafton Conservation Commission will reopen a public hearing on Tuesday, May 16th at 7:30 PM via Zoom to discuss the special conditions related to the construction of a cell tower and driveway at 58 Follett Street, Grafton, Mass. So based on Sandy's absence, it sounds like you're looking for a continuance.
Yes, thank you. The applicant would request a continuance to the commission's next public hearing, please.
So the applicants requested a continuance. Do I have a motion to continue the hearing?
Move to continue to the next public hearing.
Which is July 11th.
July 11th, okay.
Got a motion? Do I have a second?
Assuming I can second it, I'll second.
I think that's fine. That's an administrative motion. I think you're okay.
Okay. So I've got a motion and a second. I'll do a roll call vote. Emily,
Yes.
Travis,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
and I'm also a yes. The continuance passes.
See you in July. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. So what do you want to hit next, Leah, on the action items?
So we have our consultant here from Horsley Witten for the Second action item on our list of minor change request for the park at 95 North Street.
Okay. So I don't need to open the hearing. This is just discussion and action.
Just an
so-
action item.
All right. So Brian, you have the floor to tell us what's going on.
Thanks, Jonathan. For the record, Brian Kuchar from the Horsley Witten Group, registered landscape architect and civil engineer. We are here tonight to discuss a modification to the 95 North Street project, which, if you recall from, I think it was maybe 1 or 2 hearings ago, we presented it and it was approved. It's a conservation. This is conservation land located at 95 North Street, where we're proposing a pathway, AD accessible pathway, and some limited parking, and then a larger trail network. As part of the proposed parking, we do need to cross a intermittent stream, and our original design provided or met to the maximum extent practicable the stream crossing standards, which we were proposing a box culvert. Upon further review after our approval and the development of the construction drawings and looking at constructability, it was determined that the box culvert presented some challenges, both from a construction standpoint and then the overall disturbance. So we went back and looked at the design and decided to modify the box culvert to 2 18-inch pipe culvert crossings. And upon looking at the project in greater detail, and more importantly, the intermittent stream, and trying to meet the stream crossing standards, we came to the conclusion that the level of effort required was not warranted, because this, although it's an intermittent stream, as you can see to the north of the page, in the upper, I guess that's the upper right corner, the stream currently now is interrupted by an existing stone wall that then just drains off the property into a mowed grass swale and then discharges into a catch basin. So there is no fish passage, and a crossing here is pretty limited. The benefit that you would gain for that small area to the north of the access drive. So again, to simplify the overall design and the level of construction required to build the access road, it was determined that the 18-inch, the 2 18-inch culvert pipes, HDPE culvert pipes, would be sufficient and would be in keeping with the wetland regulations of both the town and of the state. That's pretty much all that's changed. It does require a slight increase of 120 square feet of alteration, but the increase still allows for a greater than 1-to-1 mitigation ratio. So again, it's a fairly minor modification, and we did work with Leah and Sandy as well. We presented this option prior to submitting, just to make sure that our interpretation, or the way we're seeing or our understanding of the requirement for the stream crossing or meeting the stream crossing standards for an intermittent stream really isn't warranted at this particular site. I think that's pretty much it for the modification. We're certainly happy to answer any questions you may have at this time.
All right. Thank you, Brian. Travis, any questions or comments on the minor change for 95 North?
One question, will the new pipes be buried at all so that they don't create a barrier to critters?
They'll be set level. They are set slightly lower than the existing grade. So yeah, any critter, if somebody or if a small animal or a small critter wants to cross through or get through that pipe, they would be able to.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not really familiar with the habitat, but if there's herps out there, that'd be good. Reptiles, amphibians. be able to get through. But no other questions.
Okay, thank you. Emily, any questions, concerns, comments?
No questions.
All right, Patrick?
Nope, nothing else.
All right, and I don't have anything. This looks pretty straightforward, but Leah, anything to add to what Brian said or?
Nope,
of
he
that?
covered it.
Perfect, okay. So that being said, we don't need to go to the public for this, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so do I have a motion to approve the minor change for 95 North Street?
I'll move to approve the minor change for 95 North Street.
Got a motion
Second,
and a second? With a motion and a second, I'll do a roll call vote. Emily,
Yes.
Travis,
Yes.
Patrick,
yes.
I'm also a yes, the motion passes. Thank you, Brian.
Thank- Thank you.
Thanks.
Have a good night, everyone.
Thanks.
Keep going down the list.
Yeah.
All right, so the next one down on the list is the request to reissue certificate of compliance for 10 McGill Drive. So is there someone here for that one?
Don't think so.
There is
So
one
this-
person in the attendee, but
If John Miller is here for that, and he wants to raise his hand, we can certainly let him speak. But I'll speak to it in the meantime.
raised his hand, so
Okay,
sorry to interrupt you, Leah.
no, that's fine.
Hi, John.
Promoted.
Hi, everyone.
So
Can you hear me?
just for the Yep, just for the record, can you give your name and address?
Yes, I'm Jonathan Miller and I'm at 10 McGill Drive in Grafton.
Thank you very much. Okay, so prior to Leah embarking, can you kind of tell us what's going on here?
Yeah, so I was starting the process to look into putting a in-ground pool in the back and was going to contractors for that. And through that process, it was uncovered that the builder that I bought the house from never registered the certificate of compliance with the Worcester County Registry of Deeds. So looking to have that reissued so that it can be recorded with the Registry of Deeds. So that can be cleared out, and then I would come back with the contractors and such to start, on the pool project. But this has to be, as I understand, has to be closed out first.
Thanks for that. Leah, comments?
So yeah, like he said, it's just a misplaced original that nobody knows where that is anymore. So he needs a new original to be able to record this. In the interim, the prior homeowner did clear most of the no disturb that was set aside as part of this order, and extended it as lawn and an above ground pool. So that's something we will need to handle going forward, whether it's as part of a new filing for a new pool, or if the commission sees the need to do any kind of like violation type action. But I believe we just have to reissue this COC because it was already issued, we're issuing a new original. We're not deciding whether or not to issue it tonight. So I think we still need to take this vote, and then we need to handle the encroachment on the no disturb in the future.
Okay. All right. So it was Jonathan, you're the current homeowner. So this was the prior homeowner that cleared this?
Yeah, I'm the current homeowner, and the builder was the one that actually had the original certificate of compliance. I think something about above ground pool was mentioned. There's never been an above ground pool here. I don't know what that is about.
So I just picked that up off of the aerial, looking at GIS back a few years. It's been there a little while as well as some lawn. I
Yeah, I've
know-
never above ground
Jan-
pool.
Jan, if
Or
you
is it
wanna
a
pull that up.
trampoline?
Yeah, I have a trampoline, but not an above ground pool. Yeah.
Okay, and that's what I was saying.
Could be the could be a trampoline, yeah.
Do you want me to pull it up on GIS?
Sure. Maybe we can understand how much is, I don't know if it's evident from that, Leah, how far. I get it. If we just need to reissue the COC, we don't need to go into the extreme today, right? Is that the gist of it? We need to just.
Yeah,
reissue-
it's just something I wanted to put on your radar, but if that's a fence that we're looking at, midway through the property, that's basically about where the no disturb is. So anything west of that fence is in what was supposed to be set aside as the no disturb area.
Okay, meaning it looks like there's a structure there and maybe a trampoline or something cylindrical, so.
Yeah, the only other thing I will say is that I was never given the, compliance. So yeah, I mean, that was never registered and transferred over to me as part of the, buying the property. So.
Okay. All right. So that being said, Patrick, do you have any questions, comments before we potentially move forward? Just again, more focused on the reissuance of the COC for the original.
Nope, no comments on the reissuing of the COC.
Okay. Emily,
None for me, thank you.
Travis?
So I just realized this is in Highfields, right? And Leah,
Yes.
I've been recusing myself, all things Highfields.
Yes,
Okay, so I take back my comment about the trampoline. And I recuse myself, so no questions.
Okay. All right, so do I have a motion to reissue the COC for the original at 10 McGill Drive?
So moved.
Got it, so moved. Do I have a second?
Second that.
All right. With the motion and a second, Patrick,
Yes.
Emily,
Yes.
and Travis,
And I'm recusing myself.
here's himself. I am a yes. The motion passes to reissue the COC. So, all right.
Thanks, everyone.
Next- Thank you, John. We issued the, did we hit 88 Adams, correct? Or am I,
yep, we're on page 2 now.
okay. So next we're talking about 18 Wesson Street.
Yep.
And is there anyone here to, it doesn't look like anyone, it looks like the 6 of us plus John here is, and he's gone. So it's the 6 of us. So 18 Weston Street, Leah, can you fill us in what's going, it looks,
So they're
complicated.
looking for a 3-year extension as well. It's a residential property. They were building a barn. And they hit some supply chain issues as well as some family stuff. So they're asking for another 3 years. It's their first extension request.
Patrick, any comments on this one?
No comments.
All right, Travis,
No, no comments.
Emily?
No comments.
All right, I don't have any comments either. It seems pretty straightforward. And seems like they have a multitude of reasons to have that issue it or request that issuance. So that being said, do I have a motion to issue a 3-year extension for 18 Weston Street?
Move to.
I'll move to,
Go ahead.
no, go for it, Patrick.
I'll move to issue the extension request for, grant the extension request for 18 Weston Street.
A
I'll
motion
second.
and a second. Take a roll call vote. Emily,
Yes.
Travis,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
I'm also a yes, the motion passes.
All right, our next two items have been on here for a little while, COC requests for 114 Miriam as well as 6 Magnolia. They are going to both return in July, at our July meeting. I did let them know July needs to be it, whether we're approving or we're denying, because they've been lingering for too long. They're both working on the outstanding pieces and think that they can pull it off for July, so we'll talk about them then. And then that just leaves us with one more extension request for 95 and 97 Milbury Street. That's gonna be two single-family houses. They're asking for 2-year extensions on those two sets of permits. They said they had a lot of backlog and unavailability of their contractors. This one was, so the regs require an extension request to be filed 30+ days in advance of the actual expiration date. This one, that did not happen. So they're within 30 days of their expiration date, but that date is like the 18th, I believe. So it still has not expired. I think we could still vote to issue an extension if you so choose.
What happens if we don't issue the extension because they asked for it too late?
They would have to refile and
Okay.
would have all new public hearings and orders of conditions.
It sounds like a pain.
How long ago was it originally filed?
So every order stands for 3 years. A handful of these ones we've been dealing with lately get a little bit more time because of the whole COVID tolling thing. So these ones were probably somewhere around 2020, could have been 2019. They've made some progress. They had some prior to commencement of work conditions that they have met. They had to do some soil testing. They got me that report. So it hasn't been totally without progress, but the regs just read 30+ days prior is when you would request one, but they don't really say what to do if that didn't happen.
Do
There's
we
still
have precedent for this? So
Emily, that's a good question. Yeah, please go ahead.
I don't know for sure. Nothing in the recent past. Jan and I very recently started sending out about monthly batches of letters to notify people, hey, your expiration date's coming up. So since this is only a project we've recently restarted, I don't have a ton of examples to pull from. I don't know. I think it's probably up to the commission's discretion.
Okay. I was just gonna state that they're still active. They're not expired yet, so they have expiration in 12 days. So
Right.
something like that.
The regulations.
trying to-
Sorry.
Go ahead, Patrick.
No, go ahead. I didn't mean to talk over
All I
you.
was gonna say was that it sounds like they're I don't know what nudged them, but it sounds like they're trying to take care of it. And obviously it didn't lapse past the expiration date, so I would argue that it's not a huge, I wouldn't perceive it as a huge deal, but Patrick, go ahead.
Yeah, I think kind of just building off of that, and again, I didn't mean to talk over you. I just had like a brain spasm or something. But building off of that, do the regulations say that they should request before 30 days, not that we can't approve within 30 days?
Right. That's what it says. It says shall be requested at least 30 days prior.
Okay, so I interpret that as there's nothing stopping us from approving something within 30 days.
So Travis, any more comments, questions? Are you Emily? Anything?
None for
Okay.
me.
All right. Having no additional comments or questions, do we have motion to issue 2-year extensions for 95 and 97 Millbury Street?
I'll move to extend 2-year extension for 95 and 97 Millbury Street.
Second.
I second.
I was waiting for Emily.
I was gonna say Jan can figure out who said who what first. She's probably gonna laugh as she listens to my recording of this meeting. All right, so I have a motion and a second, or multiple seconds, but I have a second. So I'll do a roll call vote. Emily,
Yes.
Travis,
Yes.
Patrick.
Yes.
I'm also a yes. The motion passes.
That's all I got.
This is much harder when you're trying to read. I've been on meetings since like 6:30 this morning and just straight through. I had dinner and that was it. So my apologies for bumbling and fumbling at certain points.
Great job. Thank you for doing it.
I don't know if it was a great job, but we're here. No, I'm bummed that Sandy couldn't make it, but next time someone else can try and check it out. So just need one more motion.
Motion to adjourn. I'll move to adjourn.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Roll call vote. Emily,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Travis,
Yes.
also yes, the motion passes. See everybody in middle of July, which is really weird to think about.